So guys, I have a job offer from a very big architecture firm and also a smaller, relatively smaller architecture firm. Where should I go? If you have this specific question in your mind, you are at the right place. In this video, I'm going to talk about what should you choose based on what are your future goals in life. I have learned this in hard way. I have learned it by doing this and experiencing this both sides of the panel. So I'm going to share my pure experience in this video. But guys, before we go ahead, you need to do one specific thing. That is to subscribe to this channel and like this video. Professionals like me are making these kind of videos, but we don't get that much support. We are working professionals, we are working for architecture firms, we are experiencing the architecture and what is happening in architecture industry, and coming here and sharing it with you on a weekend that needs a little bit of support, right? Please go ahead, hit a like and subscribe to this channel, and without any delays, let's get started with the video, guys. So guys, we will first talk about the pros of both the smaller firms and the bigger firms as well. Let's get started with the bigger firms. So the first and the most important criteria is the salary. That's what I believe it should be. So in bigger firms, the chances of getting a higher salary is better. Probably even the increment also might be better in a bigger firm. Secondly, the work culture and how they behave with their employees and how they treat their employees is also better in a bigger firm. That's what I have noticed. It's also because they want to maintain their industry name. A lot of architecture firms and bigger construction firms in general, they have a good reputation based on what employees say about that firm. So that becomes a very important factor, that their name shouldn't get spoiled. That's why they end up treating their employees better than the smaller firms. The next point is, in bigger firms, I have noticed something, that is, you won't get that much of workload. For example, in smaller firms, usually it's like you are doing 10 things at one time, and that leads to you not being able to do a lot of things, or you falling back on the deadlines and things like that. You might have to do overwork, overtime and things like that, and also you won't be getting paid for the overtime. But in bigger companies, the workload is divided among a lot of people. There are a lot of people responsible for a specific amount of work. So your workload is always divided. You will be treated fairly. That's what I have experienced, okay? Like if you have emergencies or things like that, bigger firms usually have backups. Bigger firms usually have people that will take your workload, and you can still go for your vacation if you want, or you can take your sick leave if you want. It won't affect the project drastically. So that's something that is better in a bigger firm. Next point is, a title on your resume of working for a bigger firm becomes a very important factor. So for example, I'll give you just a small example. You are working for Foster's and Partners or companies like Gensler. So you have that on your resume. And when a HR from another company sees that, okay, he's working for Foster's and Partners and he has worked for Gensler, they have very high requirement for jobs. That means this guy is capable of doing that. And that's why headhunters basically in HR terms, they look for these kind of employees which have really good resume, really good titles behind them. So your perspective of getting hired by a even bigger firm increases a lot. So opportunity increases basically. Now let's talk about the pros of smaller firms. So in a smaller firm, what happens is you end up getting a lot of exposure. When I was working for a smaller firm, what happened was I was dealing with client, I was dealing with contractors, I was doing quantities and survey, I was doing renderings, I was doing designing. So this all happened throughout the duration of just one project. And believe me, it helped me get that kind of exposure where I was confident enough that, okay, fine, I can do this on my own. So that becomes a very crucial factor if you want to start your own firm. Next part of smaller firm is that because it's small, you will get exposure. Plus, if you have right set of skills, right communication skills, you can get promoted to a senior category architect or get any promotion in any kind of job roles that you are doing faster. In bigger firms, usually this doesn't happen, which we will talk about in the con section. But if you want to start your own firm, if you want to have your own practice, that's your final goal, then I would definitely say go for smaller firms. Bigger firms won't help you in your goals of reaching or making your own firm. You won't get enough exposure. You won't be prepared for the actual work that goes on in architecture by working for a bigger firm. Now let's talk about the cons of both of these, okay? One by one. First con of working for a bigger firm is limited exposure. So usually a big firm hires you for a specific role. They will have something in your mind that, okay, this project needs this kind of architect or this kind of person who has experience in this specific field of architecture. So they will hire you for that specific role and you will end up doing that specific role only, because they have specialists for everything. They have teams for everything. So this is one con, that you will lack on real on-ground exposure. You will probably never even get to know what is the pricing of the products that you are using, what are the estimates of the project, what is the timeline, overall timeline of the project. Of course, you will know the timeline, but the details of the project you won't get to know. In smaller firms, you will of course get to know that. Now, talking about the con of a smaller firm. The con is basically you will have too much work sometimes. You might not get paid for your overtime. You might have to stay late. You might even suffer from bad work environment or bad work culture. For example, I'll give you one example. When I was working for a smaller firm, what used to happen was, so clients, as clients are, they keep giving changes and they keep manipulating drawings and this and that. Even if we were on schedule, there used to come some sudden changes. And what we were forced to do is wait overtime, work more after 6 or 7 when we were leaving. We were working till 9, 10, and we were not even getting overpaid. The design was not an error from our side. The client changed that. But just to impress the client, these smaller firms usually tend to force their employee to work more. And that sometimes stresses the hell out of us. So guys, this is something that you have to know, that smaller firms usually have these kind of things. The next thing in bigger firm is that you don't often get big promotions. That is true, guys. I have worked for a lot of big firms, and you should know one thing, that there is a lot of internal competition that happens in big firms. Everyone is like buttering the HR or the head of the department or something for their promotion. And usually there will be people working on same level as you are from past 2-3 years. So they will get the promotion first and then your turn will come. So eventually you will end up working for 2-3 years before you get a promotion. So that's one of the con in a big firm. Now coming to smaller firm. Smaller firm usually have a very small footprint. Probably not a lot of people even know their name. So that becomes a problem if you want to do job, if you want to grow your career into industry of architecture and you want to join big firms like Foster's and Partner or Big or anything. If you want to get into that level, you need to start aiming for bigger firm, because when you have big names on your resume, as I told you before, you will have the opportunity of working for even bigger firms. So that is one of the cons that you will always have in a smaller firm. So guys, as a person who has worked for both small and big firm, I would say if you want to start your own practice, if you want to start your own firm, I would say go for a smaller company. Even if the work environment is not good, even if things are stressful over there, go for it. And even if the pay is lesser, go for a smaller firm if you want to start your own practice. But if you want to grow your career, if you want to have big fat salaries and work for a multinational company and things like that, aim for a bigger firm. Even if the bigger firm is paying you less than a smaller firm, but if your aim is to grow in the industry and get into even bigger firm, go for a big name or big brand or a company. It will help you in your growth, and that's what I have learned. And one last thing that you need to do to grow your career is to subscribe to this channel and like this video, because all I want is your support. And that's all. Take care of yourself, and if you have any kinds of doubts or queries, please go ahead, mention it in the comment section. I'm always here to help you all. See you soon. Bye bye.